Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the things we did not get to during the course of the show today. We are still on a Canadian food high from the Clausens. You heard them yesterday, our Canadian friends that stopped by, and they brought by a box of food. And I was eating the, what do they call them? Oh, that's the French side.
Hickory sticks?
Yeah, the hickory sticks. And they're basically those potato sticks, but hickory flavored. And they're so good, but I cannot figure out what it is. Like, I would eat them, and then I would wipe my hands on a napkin, and my hands were still greasy. I don't know what the Canadians are putting in this stuff. I had to go literally wash my hands to get it off, but I loved it. I don't know what it's doing inside of me, but it's so good.
Canadian grease hits harder. Maybe it's making you like Canadians more?
No, I wouldn't say that.
No,
I would say that.
No.
Miracles can't be happening.
Gavin has gone to the box. I saw Gavin go to the box today, too.
I had some of the maple cookies, and then I grabbed the other bag of the hickory sticks, and I opened it, and I put it on my desk, and I've left it in there because it's like I have to work to get my hickory sticks. So I'll walk to the office, grab a few, come back there for the... the theory is that I won't be sitting here munching. Not like to shame what you were doing, sir.
I didn't take it as shame till you brought it up and said, I don't mean to shame you, fat pig. Now I'm shamed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They're good, though.
It's kind of like Micah Tyler when he's like talking about eating on the road because it's really hard to eat well on the road. And he's I'll pick a restaurant a mile and a half away and I'll walk to and from it. And like, that's a really good idea. So you go eat a good meal, but you did exercise before and after. If you want to see that whole interview, if you've missed it, you can text the word diet to 91979 and we'll send you a link. It's a really good interview with him talking about his weight loss stuff.
He lost 100 pounds. Yeah. And that, it's like, who knows how much further. Like, I forget if he said he had like a further level that he wanted to reach, but like for now, like he looks good. Like if he stopped, I'm sure he'd still be very happy with himself.
Oh yeah. So anyway, let me see. You were mentioning a few minutes ago, we just finished up the show, and so we were doing the last segment there, which if you've heard the regular podcast, you've heard it. But Betty Rock was talking about the songs from Spotify. You had mentioned that Crime Junkies was like the number one, or like
no, but it was in the top five
most
streamed
podcast,
podcast,
and that is the one with y'all's least favorite annoying.
Let me say it. There are two women that do the podcast. Their names are Ashley and Brittany. Brittany is on a hiatus right now. So she's not on it right now.
Right.
It's just Ashley. And Ashley's really good.
She's really good.
Now, Brittany
is extraneous.
Well,
is not necessary.
You said it, I didn't.
Right, but it's true.
They are best friends.
Right.
And so they started the show together. They started the podcast together. Now it's become like a huge thing for them. But I think Brittany had some health issues. And so that's why she's taking a step back. But Ashley has taken it on. And I listened to it.
I hate that for her, that she had health issues that had her step back, but I'm glad you're not on it. Like, because you turned me on to that podcast. And the main girl, I really like her. I think she's very smart. She is eloquent.
She tells the story well.
She's really good at it. And Britt was just always that extraneous friend, like that was just there because the other girl didn't want to start it by herself. And I picture Britt as not doing any research because everything she says, she literally just repeats what Ashley says, and in the form of a question, like and so like it's
usually
super
just
annoying.
Says, "I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, wait, what? Are you saying that he broke in through the front door?" And if I'm hosting that, I'd be like, "Yeah, like literally what I just said." Like we have a talent coach that works with our show, and there'll be times where he'll be like, look, if you say, like Wally was saying, or like Betty, if I say, like Betty was saying, he's like, don't then finish that sentence because you are already saying it's been said, and that's what this girl just does. But now I don't want her to have bad health, obviously. But it became one I could not listen to with her on it because I found myself yelling at it. But, do you remember who else podcast wise was
Joe
in there?
Rogan?
Well, he's the number one.
Yeah,
like,
he just
set
is
the standard.
podcasting.
But I thought he got some cancellation.
No. See, that's the thing. People will try to cancel him, and he's like, "Don't care, cancel me."
His contingent is like much stronger than the voices that want to cancel him.
Yes.
Like that guy is like the the pathway towards never getting canceled.
He is what radio used to be. Like radio used to be where you went on the air, you had your opinion, and if someone didn't agree with you, who cares? And if they came at you and they wanted to boycott your station was like, this is great, we're getting press. Now they're like, oh my gosh, someone doesn't want to listen, they're upset. What are we going to do? We should probably fire you, right? Would that be the solution? Yeah, let's fire you. No, the solution is shut up. It'll go away in 2 days, and it's not a big deal. And stop giving people that are just cancel crazy power. That's the solution.
Ooh.
Yeah, see, rant.
Okay,
ding, 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 rant on.
So he made the list. One called Call Her Daddy. It made the list. I looked it up to see what that is.
Have you seen? So Gavin, you sound like you know this.
No, but I'm trying to think of who I was talking to that said this recently. Like, they talked about it, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like a good podcast.
Well, it ends up that I think, I haven't listened to it, but it's this woman who, it's all about women empowerment and how they're able to do just as much as men.
Cool. Oh, okay.
So I think she's interviewing.
Fictional?
She's interviewing people. I'm going to move on. Another one that made the list was The Daily. I guess that's a news one.
Probably just like a generic from like the New York Post or something.
And then,
or is it the Matt Walsh and
I think
Shapiro.
It's the New York
Daily
Times.
Wire.
That's a Daily Wire.
It's the New York Times.
And then Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard.
Oh, I tried to listen to that.
Wanted to.
Yeah, I tried to listen to that. I tried to listen to that one with we love him, Jason Bateman, and it's the three friends, and it was not good.
I thought that was Nate Bargatze.
No, Nate Bargatze has his own podcast.
I've heard it's
too.
not that great.
I'm not a fan of the podcast. I think his stand up is ingenious, and I think when he's being interviewed, he's ingenious. The podcast it doesn't really do much for me.
It's just kind of boring.
Yeah. Okay. And that said, thanks for listening to our podcast. I still don't know why people listen to this, honestly, but we keep doing it because people like it, and we have millions of listens and blah, blah, blah. But so thank you. All that said, thank you. You love Tom Hanks, right, Lady Rock?
Yes.
Well, now here's another reason to love him.
Not like... I just think he's great.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yes.
Yeah, that was Mike Roby. Yeah. And Tom Hanks is... Yeah.
He's like a father figure.
He's
exactly. The guy.
Yeah. Well, now he launched a new coffee line called Hanks Coffee, HANX.
I'm in.
To make it cool. Yeah, he wanted to make it cool.
I want it. I'll try it.
What's really cool about this, though, is that the proceeds from all the coffee sales go to support veterans. So you're like,
he's always thinking of somebody else.
Again,
it's just precious.
You're just gonna love this guy regardless, you know. And so they're doing a whole line of coffee pods and instant coffee, blah 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 blah. But I love that they are doing 100% of the profits after they obviously meet their expenses. 100% of the profits are being given away. So he says we saw Hanks as a way to support veterans and military families. 100% the profits go to organizations that have proven to be of great aid to those who have served our country. I didn't know he was 66. Tom Hanks. I thought he was a little older than that. Yeah, I thought he was a little older than that.
That sounds about right. He's close to my dad's age.
Kirstie Alley the other day dying surprised me at 71. I thought she was old. I thought she was younger than that. I was like, oh, she died so young. And it's like, oh, she's 71. Like,
Is she the first one off the cast of Cheers to pass away?
That's a good question. If we were playing Dead or Alive, John Ratzenberger is he dead? I think he died. He's the voice of Ham. Did he die?
Or
George Wendt. George Wendt or John Ratzenberger. One of them I think is dead.
Ratzenberger, it looks like he's still alive.
Okay, look up George Wendt, Wendt. I think he died.
George
Wendt. Yeah, is he alive?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm wrong. See, I never know.
He's 74.
I never know who's dead or alive.
So she might be the first one.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Because you got Woody Harrelson, you got Sam Malone, which was, what's his name? Ted Danson.
It's like Shelley Long, Rhea Perlman, Ted Danson. Yeah. Kirstie Alley.
That was a good show. I really liked that show.
Never watched it.
Yeah. That's one of those shows, too, like... Going back and watching it, I don't know if I would enjoy it as much as when you watched it in the time. Seinfeld, same way. Like I've tried to go back and watch Seinfeld, and it wasn't as good as when it was its, pop sensation, and people were talking about it. It's kind of like the first incarnations of The Bachelor, and everyone was talking about it, and they were having bachelor parties, and then it just got so absurd. You're like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can always
jump
go
the
home
shark
again. Yeah, absolutely. Here's something for you, Lady Rock. If you travel, because I know you're scared of a lot of things, there were 2 American tourists who died in Mexico of carbon monoxide poisoning at an Airbnb. So they just rented an Airbnb.
Gosh.
And carbon monoxide is the silent killer. You don't see it coming. You don't smell it, and then you don't wake up.
Yeah.
And it made me start thinking, like, you're traveling, you're doing Airbnbs. Would it ever make sense to take, like, a carbon monoxide filter with you, detector with you?
I think it would.
Yeah.
Especially in this situation, it could have saved a life. And I'm sure that they're probably, $20?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally
they just plug
worth
into an outlet and stuff like that. It's like, I'd never thought of that before, because you rent places and you just assume that it's been taken care of, but that's not always the case, especially if you're going out of the country, because there's different standards for things.
That's sad.
And so, I was like, oh, but that actually is I think a good idea. That I say it's a good idea, that I'm like, I'll never do it.
Of course you won't.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of things that are for your health that you don't ever do.
Yeah. I'm like, therapy, that sounds like a good idea. I'll never do it. What do you got, Rock?
Will Ferrell, he's got a son. His name is Magnus.
Nice.
Magnus Ferrell.
That's like, Will Ferrell's so funny. You're like, okay, what would you name your kid? And then you wonder if he did it as a joke at first. Like, let's name him Magnus. He is Magnus, my birthright, and then it kind of stuck.
Right. Well, his son, I guess, is a musician. And he had his very first concert over this past weekend, and it was during a cancer benefit.
Oh, that's
nice. Which is very cool. So his son Magnus is up there with his 2 bros, and one's playing the keyboard, the other one's doing the bass or whatever. And Magnus is up there singing, but at the end of one of their songs, he invites his dad, Will Ferrell, to come up and make an appearance. And Will Ferrell brought out the cowbell like he did with that classic Saturday Night Live sketch from 2000 when he was Gene. And he played the cowbell. He had a fever.
For the flavor.
Yeah, with Christopher Walken.
Cowbell.
Yeah, but anyways, this is how it went.
And you can see him just goofing around and like owning it. That's funny.
I think it was sweet that he was there to support his son. And
that his son wanted him up on stage to have fun with him and didn't take it too seriously.
Right, exactly.
Like, I do like when you see artists and their kids starting to follow in their footsteps. So you've got Mercy Me, you've got his Bart's son who wrote the song On Our Way with them that we're playing, and it's really good. Stephen Curtis Chapman, his sons have Colony House, which that band has gotten apparently big, and they're doing really well. And so he's done a few things with them.
And Jeremy Camp's daughter, she sang something.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun to see where they'll go. Toby's son, Truett, was making his way in the music arena as well.
I wonder if Magnus has a sense of humor like his dad.
Yeah. I think if he brings him up, he almost has to, like he knows he's going to goof around with him.
Some kids, they don't get the parents' sense of humor.
I know that. It's so weird, man. My daughter went from completely having my sense of humor and a little dark, and a little on the wrong side, and like she got it all. Like she was my buddy in the house that I could do the joke that was like, make my wife cringe.
But should the joke be said if it's a joke that makes people cringe?
Well, that's the whole idea of it, though. But that's what I can't have this debate about what makes it funny with you, Rock, of all people.
I like to play devil's advocate.
Right. But that's what makes comedy funny sometimes, is saying that thing that no one else would say. That's the joke of it. Like in court, if you see a transcript of things people say in court, when they read it back, you're like, oh, that's horrible. But in context, you're like, oh, that was funny because it was jarring or shocking.
I think, I get what you're saying, but I always think, should I say this or should I not? If I feel like it's going to make me get slapped in heaven, then I probably shouldn't say it.
Right.
But that is not anything that bothers you.
No,
if
not
anything,
typically.
You take that as a compliment.
Yeah, if Jesus smacks me in the face, I'll be like, well done.
You want to be Chris Rock, and you want Jesus to be Will Smith.
Yes, I do. To smack me in the face, son.
And you'll take that as a compliment.
I would actually. I have that wrong, dark sense of humor. And so my daughter kind of always had that. Like in the house, we would always goof around. And then somewhere along the lines, she got in with a bunch of these people from college.
She got politically correct?
Yeah, and kind of woke.
She got
and
good?
like, no, it's not good. She got like offended by everything, man. And every once in a while, like I saw her over Thanksgiving, and every once in a while she'll make that joke and kind of like sheepishly grin. I'm like, oh, there you are. There you are. You're back. I know, my long lost daughter.
The prodigal daughter returns.
Not this liberal, whiny, I'm offended by everything child that I did not raise.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, so good. So no, your kids don't always get your sense of humor. That's very true. All right, let's do some birthdays. Speaking of kids.
Well, we have no birthdays, but we do have a question.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's from Colton, and Colton would like to know, what is y'all's favorite childhood snack? So back in the day when you were younger, what was that snack that you always went to? I'll start mine.
Okay.
Mine was, do you remember now they don't sell them anymore, but there was Chef Boyardee. You know those little microwave meals like with the holes on the top?
This was
the
a snack?
Yeah. Cool. But it was Kids Kitchen.
Oh,
that was the brand. Yeah. It was called Kids Kitchen. And they had all kinds of different little warm-ups that you could put in the microwave. But they had a macaroni and cheese one. I would give my left leg for a box of those again.
Did your mom make you after school snacks like that when you came home?
They always said it would ruin my dinner.
Oh, that's so sad.
Well, they said it'll ruin your supper.
Yeah, my mom, we would come home from school, and a lot of days, especially when we were young, my mom would have an after school snack. And it was always so good. It was my favorite thing.
I couldn't have anything before supper.
No.
But after supper, when I ate everything, I could have whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were nights where I would go from something salty to something sugary, something salt, something sweet. And I remember one time I made a whole box of chocolate cupcakes and put chocolate icing on top, and I ate them all. Not in the same night,
right?
But I ate them all.
I think my favorite snack was when my mom would make homemade pudding, not like chocolate pudding, and it wasn't like from a box. Like she would make it from scratch. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And then we always did this thing. I don't know if you guys did this or not, or maybe it's gross. We would pour milk over it and sugar, and to make that pudding even sweeter. I know. And I would like mix it up, and it became almost like chocolate milk kind of thing. It was really good. Right. Yeah, that's what I did. It was really good. What about you, Gavin?
Goldfish. I probably brought goldfish to school for lunch from maybe 3rd or 4th grade, like through the end of high school. Like it was just a staple for me. And some days I miss it. Some days I go back to it, and I've become I'm like, oh, I'm a Cheez-It guy now. Yeah. But as a kid, goldfish every day.
My daughter at 24, she calls them bedside goldfish.
Bedside?
So she gets that big box of goldfish, that giant one, and she keeps it by her bedside, and she's like, yeah, I'll have bedside goldfish sometimes.
That's awesome. I will every once in a while, like after I'm done grocery shopping, reward myself, because at the front of our Kroger, there's like this little round cart that actually does have like the mini boxes of goldfish, and you open it up, and it's got that little thing where you open it like a
milk carton.
Yeah. And I'll just be driving home, just
there you go.
Pouring that in.
Goldfish are good. Yes. Yeah, you can pound through those. All right. Well, with that is going to do it for our Aftercast, and we'll do this again tomorrow. And as always, thanks for being a potty. That's where you, Rock, need to come back and do a callback. So what you're saying is...
I'm sorry. What? Did you say we're done?
Oh, and thanks for being a potty.